When analysing Tim Burton's films, it is impossible to discuss them without mentioning his style of filmmaking. Many of Burton's films have a particular look to them. Indeed, the designs of Tim Burton's films are so distinctive that the term Burtonesque is now a commonly used description, not only of Tim Burton's work, but of other films, artworks and art styles that bear resemblance to Tim Burton's particular way of creating worlds. So what does it mean to be Burtonesque? In many ways, being Burtonesque goes beyond just the visual style and also covers the underlying messages and perceptions of the world around us. Many of the central characters in Burton's films are loners or outsiders, quirky, unusual and unique individuals who don't fit into society's norms. This could be said of such films as Edward Scissorhands, Frankenweenie,
Sparky, no! No!
Vincent,
Tormented or insane, you're just a young boy. You're 7 years old and you are my son.
Pee Wee Herman,
Mad Dog!
and even Batman.
The Joker has tainted hundreds of chemicals at the source.
In each of these films, the main protagonist of the film is a loner who ultimately attempts to find companionship and acceptance from others, but finds it incredibly difficult because of their differences. Burton's greatest influences when he was a child included Gothic masters such as Edgar Allan Poe and Vincent Price. As a result, many Gothic influences have regularly made their way into Burton's work. The word Gothic, for those unsure, can really be simply defined as what we call horror today. Gothic writers such as Edgar Allan Poe wrote horror stories fixated on ghastly and terrifying events, including death, torture, murder, and the darker elements of human nature. So when you think of Gothic horror, you may think of commonly used ideas such as castles, isolation, darkness, lightning, thunder, storms, creepy and mysterious characters, fear, depressing moods, and much more. Many of these ideas have regularly made their way into Burton's films. Many of them, such as Batman, Beetlejuice, Frankenweenie, Sweeney Todd and Edward Scissorhands, feature dark, grungy-looking sets. There is very little colour, they are very drab-looking, plain and depressing. These styles are intended to contribute to the overall dark mood of the overall film or the individual scenes, suggesting either fear or sadness as one of their underlying themes. Another common element used in Burton's films is the idea of contrast. When two things are in contrast, it means they are strikingly different. In many of Burton's films, this can simply be through the use of light. The contrast of light and dark exists frequently in Burton's world. Whilst this contrast occurs via lighting, it also exists more strikingly via a lack of colour, as Burton regularly makes films in black and white to further highlight these contrasts.
And then I went out with the wolf man. Ugh, what an evening. I didn't know whether to kiss him goodnight.
Vampira, you will come under my spell. You will be my slave of love.
My gosh, Bella, how do you do that?
You must be double jointed. And you must be young Aryan.
The idea of contrast is used very effectively in Burton's 1990 film, Edward Scissorhands. Edward is a troubled young man who has been rescued from a terrible situation where he was unable to fend for himself. Flashbacks are often used to show Edward's previous life. Edward lived in a castle of sorts, and these sequences are regularly drab, drained of colour and very gothic looking. Contrasted against the bright, over-the-top colours of the rest of the film, these flashbacks at times show how out of place he feels in the vibrant, colourful, showy world he has found himself in now.
You must try this. It's my mother's recipe. I tried mine. It's the same as yours. You know, never in my life have I seen a green thumb like yours. I sure could use your help at my place.
Me too.
There you go.
Beautiful
I
tiger.
want a row of
I am so sorry, ladies, but he's promised to come to my house first.
One more.
Haven't you, Eddie?
Okay, everybody, grab your plates. Soup served. What? Yeah, it is shish kebab. It was a figure of speech, Ed. You gotta learn not to take things so literally.
Some of the most noticeable visual styles in the Burtonesque world exist in his animations. His style is very recognisable, full of whirlwinds, stripes, seams, asymmetrical figures, winding staircases, monsters with sad eyes and weird hair. Burton's artwork highlights his appreciation of form with strong shapes and exaggerated proportions. In terms of colours, he often uses black, white, purple and red. In terms of ideas and perceptions, Burton's worlds are often filled with strange-looking people and sad clowns more frightened than frightening. His message is clear. People are not defined by their appearances. To be different does not mean to be excluded, and differences should be cultivated along with singularity and creativity. His universe is more appealing than scary, even though it is full of outcast characters. Their tragedy inspires more pity than fear, and monsters become charming. He shows life as both kind and tragic, beautiful and cruel, funny and disturbing.
At last, my arm is complete.